Hey guys, in today's video, we're gonna do a little home improvement project, a little DIY down here on my canning shelves in the basement. And my goal today is to be able to do this entire project without having to buy anything. And so as I'm filming this intro, I've actually already done it, so it worked. Spoiler alert, but but anyways, the goal was to either make what I needed, find it already laying around somewhere in the house, or just make do without it. And so that is kind of my mantra for 2024. I am aggressively trying to save money this year and just pay off some debt, and just trying to be very, very conscious of what we're spending and making sure that it is actually benefiting our family, that we're not just frivolously spending anything. And hopefully within the next couple weeks, I will have another video out to you as well with our family budget and how I do the budgeting, and have an editable Excel spreadsheet for you guys if you wanted to use the same setup that I use. It makes it really easy to use Excel because they total everything up for you. And anyways, that's a different video. But I'll try to get that out to you soon, so make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss it. But anyways, today, let's get started. Okay, so these are my canning shelves. I recently just reorganized all this, and I have empty jars up on the top because that pipe right there gets hot, and I don't want to store food up near anything that's hot. So that's just for empty jars up there. I have empty jars on the bottom. Right now, we're a little bit low on stock because I didn't do a lot of canning this past summer. It was just a crazy, crazy summer for our family and crazy fall. And so I didn't do a whole lot of canning. This is all I have left, but it is actually like 7 or 8 jars deep. So there's more food there than you can think. I have an excessive amount of pickles. I realize that, but there's all kind of stuff there. The labeler is still sitting there because I'm still working on labeling things. I'm still in the process of reorganizing. Right now, I kind of just have my winter squash like hanging out here, but I do want to find a better system for that, like baskets or something, but that's not today's project. So anyways, today's project is to get this stuff all covered up so that the light doesn't hit it when it's sitting here. Now I can turn this light out just by pulling that string, which I've been doing, and I'm probably gonna do that right now while I'm working, just so the light is not hitting my jars. So sorry if it's a little dark, but here I go. When you're trying to do a project for free, you have to get creative. It would have been easy to run to Walmart and buy curtains and rods to do this, but as I said before, I am really trying hard not to spend money if I don't absolutely have to. I'm even doing a pantry challenge this week where I have to make all of my meals without purchasing anything from the grocery store. I ended up with some really fun and creative meals because of it, but more about that in another video. So this is what I used to hold up the curtain rods. I had cup hooks, but they weren't the right size, so I decided to drill these screws into the wood that the rods could rest on. And yes, I realize these screws are very stripped, but I didn't need them to be tight for this project, so it was the perfect place to use them. But I also planned to use washers to hold the rods in place. However, I did not have the right size washers either, but I did have these metal discs that came with the kitchen cabinet hardware that I purchased when I updated the kitchen in my old house, and they turned out to be just the right size. Instead of buying curtain rods, I looked around the house for anything that was the same shape and stiffness that could be used instead. I thought about using the handle from an old mop or the slats from an old shoe rack that I'm no longer using, but ultimately I ended up finding a few old pressure rods in the corner of the basement in the storage area, and they ended up working perfectly. So now I'm just going to get the rest of those rods hung up. All the rods are up. Now I'm gonna hang the curtains. I know that these curtains are too long for where I'm hanging them, and I could hem them. I have a sewing machine if I really wanted to get into all that, but I really don't because I have other things I need to do with my time. So I just brought down some safety pins. So after I hang them, I'm just gonna safety pin them at the bottom to make them the right length. So the third piece of this puzzle was creating the shade. And I have two very crafty daughters, so we do have a decent variety of crafting supplies in the house. I went to our old fabric scraps bin to search for something that could work, and to my absolute delight, I realized that we still had the curtains from our old house. I'd never hung them up in our current house because I didn't like how dark they were, but I hung on to them because my girls were learning how to sew and they loved to make clothes for their dolls and their stuffed animals. And so that's why I usually kept old fabric in the house for them to use. So I am so grateful that these were still here, but if I hadn't found these, I could have used an old piece of fabric or a bed sheet or a blanket, or could have possibly even rigged up some cardboard or something. All I needed was shade. So there were a lot of options, but finding these curtains was a definite win. Here we are. There's the finished product. Now those bins on the bottom, they just have empty glass jars in them, so they don't have to be in the dark. But they're still dark enough down there, even if I did need to put canned goods down there. There's enough of a shadow. But figured now I could give you a tour of the canning shelves. So I just recently moved all of my canning jars, well, most of them. I'm still working on getting some of them all washed and put into this Tupperware, but I just recently moved them into these plastic containers. I used to just use the boxes like this that they came in, and I stored them like that, but they always got really dirty and dusty when they were sitting there. And so anytime I was ready to can, before I could can anything, I had to first wash all my jars again, even though I'd already washed them last time I used them, you know, when I emptied them out. And so that was kind of annoying. And so I decided to grab these containers. These are from Walmart. I can link them for you. They're a really nice size. They're the perfect height to store the pint jars. I do have bigger ones down here for the quart-sized jars because they were too tall to fit in that way. And I just have them laid on their sides in there. But I'll see if I can link those too, if I can find them. But I really, really like this size. It's perfect for one layer of pint jars or anything smaller. But now that I have them already washed and sealed up in this plastic, when I'm ready to can, the jars are ready to go. And so all I have to do is grab one of these bins, take it over, and just start loading jars, which is really nice. And I'm also starting to sorry, I can't talk today. I feel like my tongue is asleep. Has that ever happened to you? Like, does your tongue just go to sleep when you're tired and you can't form words? Maybe it's just me. I don't know. Let me know in the comments. But anyways, I'm doing the same thing with the lids as well, because I would always wash my lids right before I canned. And again, that's just one extra step. It takes extra time. You have to dry them off and all that. So I am pre-washing all my lids as well and putting those in plastic containers so that they are ready to go. And it has made canning so much faster. So anyways, just wanted to touch on that in case you were like me and storing them in cardboard boxes. This has made it so much easier. So I actually just popped those right off, which is super easy, and just dropped them on the ground. I don't care if they get dusty. It's not a big deal. But that makes it really easy to access everything if I want to see what all is here. So anyways, we'll take a little tour. Applesauce, dill pickles. And again, like I said, this goes 7 or 8 jars deep, so that's a lot of pickles. We have canned peaches. We have peach preserves. We have duck. This is our last batch of ducks. We have a new batch now, but this was from last year. So we canned some duck meat, spaghetti sauce, bone broth. Moving over here, we have, is this chicken or turkey? This one's chicken. And then this is turkey broth. This is turkey meat. We have apple jelly. This is kind of not in any logical order because I decided what I wanted to do is put the oldest stuff at the top left and work my way across. So like oldest to newest, and then go to the next shelf, do the same thing. Because what I was finding before when I was trying to group all the chicken in one place and all the spaghetti sauce in one place, I had to keep rearranging jars every time I made a new batch and there was something in between them, and that was just a pain. So I decided to just go oldest to newest, and that way whatever I do next, it'll just end up down here, and I'll just know to start using that stuff first and work my way down. So anyways, that's why it's all in a weird order. But apple jelly, these are beef bone broth. All this is beef bone broth. It's really light because I don't add anything to mine. I just literally do beef bones and water. So there's not even salt or anything in there. So that's why you don't have the dark color where you would if you had like the carrots and the onion skins and all that kind of stuff that give it the darker color. There's none of that in there. So it's just straight beef bone and water. I have green beans. Now we're getting into some of the freeze-dried stuff. So these are freeze-dried peppers from our garden from last year. And when I say last year, I mean the summer of 22, I believe. Yeah, summer of 22. I didn't do a whole lot with peppers this year, so those are from summer of 22. This is some bread cubes that I freeze-dried because that way they would be nice and crispy if we wanted to make stuffing. These are some freeze-dried blackberries that we had, freeze-dried bananas. And coming down to the next shelf, we have, these are actually freeze-dried meals. So this is chicken pot pie. This one is stuffed cabbage. Then we have some cinnamon flavored apples, freeze-dried yellow squash. Okay, this one requires explanation. I have no idea what happened here. I was trying to make beef bouillon, like the powder. So I said, if I take my beef broth and I freeze dry it, I should be able to crumble it into a powder and have bouillon, right? Like homemade bouillon, super healthy. So I did, I put the beef broth in the freeze dryer and it came out the texture of cotton candy. And I'm so confused. I don't know why. It is fluffy and stringy and it's cotton candy beef. So that's what happened. Not sure why, but that's what I've got. I'm sure it'll be just fine, you know, just dump it into a bowl of water and it'll make soup, but still, it was kind of weird. This is some freeze-dried kale that I ground up into powder so that way I can sneak it into food and my family won't know. Shh, don't tell them. And then I have some freeze-dried spinach here. So that's really easy to just dump into soups or smoothies, things like that. Now I have this year's turkey, this past November, so 23. The other one was from 22. So I have turkey broth. I have two different kinds of turkey. So I have an autoimmune disorder, and for some reason I'm sensitive to some brands of meat, but not others. And so there's one specific brand of meat that I buy that I get from Aldi. It's called Never Any. They never add any like garbage to it, basically. So however they raise those animals, like with the feed and the conditions that they're raised in, I'm able to tolerate all of their meat, where I can't tolerate just like the regular store-bought meat, or even from some of the local farms, like I haven't been able to tolerate. So I think it really just depends on how the animal's raised and what it's fed. But that's why I have two separate turkeys. There's one with my name on it and one that we got from a different farm. But then I have some deer meat that I canned here. This is from this year. We have some chicken. This is butternut squash and Great Northern beans. This is the kind of bean my grandma always used to make baked beans, so that's why I grew those. These are from our garden. Black beans as well, and butter beans, which if you're not familiar with butter beans, all it is lima beans that you leave on the vine until they get hard, like turn white and get hard like a hard dried bean, then they're called butter beans if you do it that way. If you eat them green, they're called lima beans. So I learned that last year. And anyways, we have some butter beans. Those are really good for soup or things like that. So that's all I have so far. I still have some more butternut squash that I need to can, as you can see. Those are squash from our garden down there. The spaghetti squash, unfortunately, is store-bought because I tried to grow it and then I kind of forgot where I planted it and it got covered by weeds, and that didn't work. So this year I'm going to try to remember to make a note of where I plant it and make sure I weed that. The sweet potatoes are also store-bought, but apparently we have a mouse. So that's why I'm saying I really need to get a better storage system for these root vegetables here. I do have a video that I will link to about how to make mouse-proof boxes, which I do, and it's out of these containers here. You can just drill holes through them for ventilation, and these lids snap on, and so the mice can't get in, but your food can still breathe. And I do have those. I have 3 of them, but they're all full and they're down in my cold cellar. They're full of the potatoes that we grew this year. So I need to make more of those boxes so that I can store like the sweet potatoes that I bought from the store this year, because I didn't grow sweet potatoes last year. I can't remember why. I think I just ran out of time. It was a busy year. But anyways, that's what we have in our pantry right now. And thank you guys for watching. If you're not subscribed yet, go ahead and subscribe, because I do all kinds of videos. It's not all just about canning. It's not all about food. I do videos about gardening. I do videos about home organization. I do videos about cleaning motivation. I'm gonna try to get a video out to you soon about doing a household budget, how I do our budget on an Excel spreadsheet, and I will get you a free printable for that one. Hopefully I'll get that out within the next few weeks. And so there's all kinds of different content, recipe ideas, mom life, all that. So make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss anything, and thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.